Welcome, welcome. We're here to talk today about how to draw support and resistance lines for charting, as well as across the major index platforms. And you can use any trading platform, but today I'm going to just show you how to use TradingView's platform. And first of all, we're going to start, I just wanted to show you the type of memberships that we have. We have the MTTS Pro for selling for $1,000. That includes the MTTS strategy, which gives you buy and sell indicators for major index stocks, as well as any of the major index stocks traded on any of the platforms, and penny stocks, micro caps, everything, as well as the kurtosis oscillator, which helps you show and trade and find imbalances in the general market. Now, today we're going to show you on how to chart a few stocks. I'm going to start with the global MSCI Pakistan ETF, and this is just an ETF for Pakistan. So look at this in the 1-year time frame. We can see it has a low in the 420 area. And so what we do for understanding support and resistance is understanding that support is usually the price that the stock never usually goes below. Think of that as the foundation of the house. The resistance is considered to be the price ceiling, the price that the stock usually never goes below. And if it does, it breaks through that resistance, then we can see that the trend might be going upwards for the stock, and then that would show that it's going to be on an upward momentum. And simultaneously, any breakthrough below support lines considered the foundation would be considered to show that the stock is continuing to decline and is actually in a downtrend. So this gives us an indication of what is the general market direction for any of the major stocks. Now let's looking at the Pakistan ticker symbol, PAC. Let's look at the chart, and we can see around the 425 area there is a good support right here. And see, what I like to look for when I draw these support and resistance lines is I like to find about 3 simultaneous candlesticks meeting up in the same direction. See, one right there, one right there, and another one right there. See, you would need to have this, and the market usually tends to work in 3s, 5s, and 7s due to the odds of the probabilities. So when you keep in mind when you're looking at candlesticks, try to have at least 3 touching the support or resistance line that you're creating, which helps to give sustainability to your overall idea of where the direction is going to go. And that really helps us understand to have a general direction of where the market's going. But if we'd only have 1 or 2 candlesticks, or that doesn't really give us that much confirmation that the price is really holding at that level. Okay, so now we drew one level of resistance. Now let's go back to the 5-year time frame. That other stock we were looking at was the 1-day, 1-year time frame, and now we're looking at this on a 5-year time frame just to see we want to draw longer term resistant lines. And we see right around here in this area there's a good amount of resistance, and the price usually seems to touch right around this area very well and gets confirmed. So, and we're just I like to use even numbers, but of course we could be more precise. This is just a general demonstration. And we see here $13 seems to be a very strong support level for this stock. So notice I use red. This is considered our support, so we know this is the price we don't want it to go below. And finally, this would be our 3rd level of support, and that would be around the 1250 range. Oh, sorry. That would be around, let's see, we want to get at least 3 candles, remember. So we'll set that at around the 13, let's get in between these 3. The 1335 level. Great. So now we have these 3 levels of support, and these are the price that we can use as entry points. If you don't feel that the 1425 will hold, even though we saw these 3 candles happen to sustain the support, we can look to the longer term time frame and think that, okay, we can wait and time our entry around the $13 entry to around the 1350. And what this lets us know is this is kind of like how hedge funds and other major indexes and other traders really find a way to gauge the market instead of just jumping in whenever it seems that the market is started to spur. We wait and time our entries here at MTTS Trading. We promote that education. And now let's draw the actual support lines. And for support, we're going to use green, like the color of money. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to use blue. And for the first resistance line, I could see a clear level of resistance at, let's do it shorter term. And this is, remember, we're looking at the 1 week and on the 5-year chart. So each candle represents 1 week for 5 years. And so looking at this, we could see right around the 15. Let's see. We want to find 3 candles, remember. This level looks pretty good. Let's see. Let's get it to even. Okay. Okay, cool. So see, this is our first level of resistance. So if the stock continues its upward momentum in this direction, upwards, we could see it could test around the 545 level. And see, you could always edit it right here. And so we see around the 1545 level, that's the next level of resistance. Followed by, we're looking at, for longer term resistance, we want to change, we see this spike right here, and we could find around 3, 4, 5 candlesticks around this area. See, sometimes you don't have to be exact, but it's always good to be precise. So that's why I'm just changing this as it goes along. Okay, so we got our first level of resistance at around the 1545 level. And then finally, we could set our third resistance level at the, let's see, we want to find at least 3 candles or more for confirmation. This is a good level. $18.05 area. Hold on, just charting. So around the 1805 area is where we're going to set our final level of resistance for this breakout. And that will really confirm this upward entry movement. See, sometimes it's a little fine tuning getting this in. Okay, great. So now we got 3 levels of resistance. The first level of resistance that the stock needs to break through is 1545. And see how it always moves around. 1675. Touching 3 candles, 1, 2, 3, and going through this candle, so that's 4. So we got a good level of resistance right there. And finally, this is the last price break we wanted to break through. We got 1 candle right here, 2, 3, 4, and it cuts right through about half of the big red body going down. So that would be a good confirmation that this is going to continue the uptrend if the stock gets the momentum. Now, this is all contagious if we don't see that movement. Now, let's pick a bigger stock that more people are trading. Looking here at CMG, Chipotle, I'm looking at each candle represents 1 day for a 1-year time frame. We could see here at around we're going to pick a more easier level to follow for this one. That's more straightforward, and so when you're trading, you can really keep up and follow along. You're going to want to set a horizontal line at around the $300 area. That's our first level of support. And so I'm going to set it around a 300. Now, see, it's also a bit psychological, these levels, because sometimes the market just tends to like these round even numbers and these trading areas that are, you know, not always the most logical. But remember, when we're dealing with a market that is operated by people, people tend to make decisions that deviate from logic, and so that's important to keep in mind as well. So and see how it just, formatting it, coordinates, I could set it to just a 300. See, now this is easier to set this price on the coordinate. And see, we got the first level of support is going to be around the 300 level. Next, we're going to show the next level of support would be right around the 295 range. And you can see, let's move to a longer term time frame. Let's go to the 5-year chart. We would see that the next level of support would be right around the 280 level. Let's get it. 280, see? So next support would be right around the 280 area, and you notice how I keep trying to make sure I get the candles at least to have 3 to really provide a confirmation of this resistance line. And finally, the last level of support we will use is going to be right around the, let's see, cool, we got a next level of support would be right around the 268, 269, we'll use 267, let's see, as our final level of support. And this just shows the 3 levels of support. And if we really want to, we could set out another bottom, if we really think the stock is going to bottom any further, to around the 250 range. Now, to set the resistance, of course, we wanted to change it to blue, so that's what we know it's the levels we got to break through. The first major level of resistance is going to be, for the long-term chart, is going to be around the 360 area. Let's see. We want to find at least 3 candles to line up. There. So right around 373.50, let's just make it even, 373.50, just so we remember the market is psychological. We like to keep these numbers in our head. So looking at the next one, now we can go back to a 1-day time frame, looking at the 1-year chart, and we see that there actually is a shorter term level of resistance that would be more pertinent to our uses. So let's see where we could chart that around. Let's see, we want to look for 3 candles of confirmation. So first, a short term, we could see it right around the 320 area is the next level the stock needs to break, after confirmation of trying to bounce twice, and we see a higher high right here, and then repeatedly we have a lower high, and so it kind of shows a little bit of a downtrend. But if we can get to see it break through these key levels of resistance, we could see a real solid bounce, I believe, in the stock. And so remember, we could just go to format so we don't have to go through and edit each one. We can do right around the 325 area. See how we notice now, looking at this, I kind of jumped to rush to judgment, and there's not really 3 support lines right here. So we probably need to find a little bit more solid area of support. I would say right around the 320 level is actually a better idea. So we're going to move this here. So we want to make sure we're keeping up more and understanding that our resistance levels looking at a shorter time frame are not going to be the same as looking at a longer term time frame. Now looking at Chipotle, the next level of resistance that it would need to break is going to be right around the 335 level. 335. And see, so now we got 3 levels of resistance, and we have one. This would be our long-term breakout target, and this would be our shortest term target, our mid-term target, and now this would be our third target, would be right around the 355 level. And see, now we have 4 levels of resistance. Now if we want to do a longer term resistance, we would set it right around, I'll say around the 410 area price range. But since this is the market, we like to be psychological. We could even use 400 as a long-term area of movement. This is very key to keep in mind. We see once again there's at least 3 candles. We got 1, 2, crosses through this one, and it touches these 2 right here and crosses there and touches this line right here. So you want at least to have 1, 2, 3 levels of resistance and price confirmation at any trend line level horizontally. Now see here, if we do get a bounce in the stock, it will be noticeable that we look